Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny. Welcome back to 2022 and another edition of the Yak with MAC. I want to talk about, as a leader, what can we do to prevent the Great Resignation? Listen in. Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny with another edition of the Yak with Mac. This is first one of 2022. Welcome home. I'm riding solo today, but I have to tell you, you don't want to miss a thing. I have got some phenomenal guests lined up, but I wanted to talk with you today as we go now into 2022. And usually I give my speech about rehiring everybody, that you should really get with everybody and reset your expectations. Now, I think that is still very important to do. However, I think going into this year, you have to look at things a little bit differently. And I want to do a little bit of a series here. And with any guests I have over these next couple of weeks, I'm going to hit on this topic, and then I may sprinkle my own quick podcast into there. I want to talk about something that I think is facing us, that is going to be the most challenging thing that as leaders we've gone through in a long time. And that is the Great Resignation. And I think that I'll say this up front: no matter what part of the company that you work in, if you think that this is not going to at some point impact you, if it hasn't already, because we know it's impacted already our folks on the retail side, we know it's already impacted our folks on the care side. But if you think that you work in marketing or in training like I do, that it's not going to impact you, we're kidding ourselves. We have to really get prepared for what's coming and the real changing landscape, not just across our workforce, but across our country. We're definitely in a time of change. And I liken it back to, I know when my dad was a kid, right? And really somebody thought that 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours was really breaking up your day, right? So they felt like you had 8 hours of sleep, you had 8 hours to work, and those 8 hours should have been from 9 to 5. And then you had 8 hours to kind of play, to go home, get dinner, and everything like that. And so that's how people lived for a long time. But, I mentioned my dad, he never worked 9 to 5. He used to work from 5 to 1. And then for years, he worked from midnight to 8 a.m. And it was a solid 8 hours for him all the time. But that's changed somewhere. I don't think in my career ever, since I've been in leadership, that I ever worked 8 hours in one day. Um, and hey, listen, some days it might be a little bit less, but most days it's usually a lot more. And it's been like that for a long time. I think you're probably the same if you are in leadership. But how things changed then and things kind of slowly changed. Man, this is a big change that's happening now. Some of it is COVID driven. Some of it is just, I think, our generations that are coming up that really want that more independence, that may not want to be adhering to like a corporate type culture. And I have to tell you, within our company, I think we're greatly positioned there, because I don't get the sense we have kind of a corporate like culture, right? I think that we're able to kind of, have our own self identity. We're able to wear jeans and sneakers if we want, right? And a jacket like this with a hoodie underneath it. And I think that gives us a good advantage. And you think about some companies that's been on the cutting edge of this for years, companies like Google or Facebook, where I think Google, I've always read and I saw that, you kind of didn't have a regular work schedule. You can go in at any time. If you're creative at 2 in the morning, go in at 2 in the morning. Different perks to keep employees not only there, but engaged as well. So I think we've kind of been on that cutting edge as well with T-Mobile. And of course, if you're in a retail store or a call center, you can't just go in when you want to go in, right? There has to be a structure and a schedule, but I think there's been a lot of flexibility. And so, as a leader, what do you do about it? The statistics, and I'm sure you guys have seen the articles, but the statistics just blew me away. And if I look down, it's because I just want to make sure I capture everything I wanted to say. 4.5 million people resigned, resigned their positions in the month of November. It's going to be scary to see the numbers in December. Maybe they'll go down a little bit. I don't know. But typically after December is when a lot of people kind of reevaluate anyway, right? And so I'm sure you're going to be listening to this. A lot of leaders will listen to this and say, where you been, man? I've already been impacted for this. I'm trying to come back. And I'm really interested as I post this to hear some comments on what you're doing. So I'm only going to offer really one piece of advice today. But 4.5 million people, that's a groundswell. There's something going on out there. And maybe we're not aware of some things. Maybe it's beyond COVID. But I suspect from people that I've talked to that there are a lot of people that just want to be more in control of their own destiny. Thus, you have more people working Uber or more people working for DoorDash or Grubhub, things like that, where they can turn an app on when they know they want to work for 8 hours and turn it off when they know that they don't want to work for even an hour, where they want to do something else. More people are starting their own business, starting their own online business, just using that creative side of themselves. And so there's a lot that has to do with that. Maybe COVID has made people kind of pause and take a step back. And maybe the time at home has given them time to really talk more to their family and realize that that family time is really, really important to them. So they maybe want to cut back on the work time. There's a lot of different factors, I think, that have got us to this place as a nation, right? But let's boil it down from as a nation to what can you do as a leader within your four walls. And when I mean say four walls, I mean in any department, right? In your within your realm, within the people that you're responsible and accountable for, what can you do? And so I only have one word. That's the piece of advice that I can start with here. And this just came from me. I'm going to do a lot more reading over the next couple of weeks and see if I can get more advice. But just here's what I'm doing. I'm just being authentic. I'm just being me. I'm just being my real self. I'm just trying to have more conversations than I ever did before. I'm just trying to let my hair down a little bit more so that I can be as real as I possibly can be. I was having this discussion this morning. A long time ago, I learned that it's impossible for me to be totally different at work than I am at home or in my personal life, right? They all kind of intertwined for me a long time ago. So what folks that I work with see is really kind of what my family sees. And you could raise your hand if you're there with me, right? So if you're there with me, you already have a level up on folks that maybe sometimes feel that they can't be as authentic as they can be. The more authentic you are, the more your people are going to tell you things that they may not tell you if you weren't authentic, such as, I'm thinking about leaving the workforce totally. Nothing to do with T-Mobile, nothing to do with you, but I'm just thinking that that might be a direction I go into, that I want to work for myself. I want to go out on my own. Someone tells you that, and I'm sure there's leaders that are going to be listening that they've already had conversations like that. But if someone tells you that, I want to encourage you to not judge, to not be judgy on that, to just let that be a time that you listen and that you make eye contact and you say, I get you. I hear you. And let that also be a time that you don't do any selling. You know, a lot of our audience are pure sellers, man. This is probably a moment where you don't want to do any selling because they probably know what we offer, but they just might be exploring something else. And I think it's okay to give someone that time and that space to say that it's okay. I want to give you that space. When you're ready to have a more deeper conversation, let's do that. Maybe in another week or so, maybe in another couple of days, we could sit down and I can maybe fill you in on some things that might be coming that might help, and take you over to our career site. There's so many things that then you can have a conversation about. I'm going to leave it there today, but I want to leave it with this, and I hope I'm not sounding overly dramatic. This, my friends, from what I see, from what I sit here, is it January 10th? January 10th, 2022 is going to be the most important issue that's going to face you this year. You cannot run your business, whether you're in a call center, whether you're in a store, whether you're in an office, you can't run it without people. We're a people driven business. You can't run it without people. And if you find yourself all of a sudden without people, what are you going to do? And so you've got to be proactive and got to be ahead of the game. Now, listen, I know that our company, if they haven't already within your realm, is going to roll out some great tools and resources for you to use. This is just me, and this is just my opinion talking. So stay ahead of the game, be proactive, be authentic, be yourself, have more conversations than you've ever had. It is the most important thing, in my opinion, that you will do this year. Okay, a lot more to come. But for now, this is Kenny with the Yak with Mac. I will talk to you later. I've got a great guest lined up for probably next week. All right, we'll talk to you later.